Um, I don't know if I'm recording or not now.
It did say the bottom did say being recorded, and there is recording on the top left.
Okay. All right. So hopefully that can be edited out. All right. So welcome once again to Lord Meher. We are in 1945. We're going to pick up at the very end of the last page that we finished with last week. And Eva, go ahead and start the reading for us today.
Baba asked the workers about the work being done in their areas, and they reported to him in detail. When he asked Baba Das for his account, Baba observed, "For the masses, Baba Das's work is the best. He is one of the disciples who has been putting up with all hardships. He moves about on foot and meets with people in positions, both high and low. For my work, he has traveled all over India, and while working for me, it has so happened that thousands have become his followers. For instance, when I had gone with him to Sholapur, I found that people were bowing down to him and showing him respect. Although Baba Das's work is the best, when he tries to describe it and give a report of his activities, it is difficult for even God to follow what he is talking about. He jumps from one subject to another and assumes his audience knows all the facts. He speaks in disjointed sentences, leaving the listeners completely baffled. He himself does not know what he wants to say. Baba also praised Vibhuti for his work and remarked that it too was excellent for the masses. Baba Das then gave a brief account of his visits to various places in Rajputana, including Jaipur and Bikaner. He said that he was going about telling people about Baba and that people wanted Baba's darshan and literature. On hearing this, Baba pointed out that literature, including books and leaflets, would be required only up to December, and added, "After December, I will need no medium for my work. When I unsheath my divine sword, I will need no help from the mandali. I will need no meetings and no literature. All these will adjust themselves." Help was required up to December, and literature was also required up to that time. It may be printed as required for use during this period, however. At that point, Baba Das criticized Deshmukh, complaining about delays in getting printed matter from him on time. Baba remarked, "Baba Das wants everything to be done immediately, on the spur of the moment, without considering the practical problems involved." I lost my space. Oh, he has no idea of the difficulty of others. Recalling the temperament of his uncle, Fardun, Baba noted in good humor, Fardun Masa had the same tendency. When playing cards, he would such a frenzy that he lost the game. He would tear up the cards. The members of the Mandali laughed heartily at the recollection, as they used to play with Fardun Masa and remembered how he would lose his temper. Deshmukh said, "If Baba Das is in such a hurry, he could get literature printed in Delhi." Baba quipping, Delhi Bahut Dur Hide. Delhi is far away, an idiomatic Hindi expression meaning easier said than done. Eventually, it was decided that Ghani should, as soon as possible, have 5,000 copies printed of the 6 Urdu articles he had written and deliver them to Baba Das and Vibhuti for general distribution. Giving his account of travels during the year, Vibhuti reported that he had gone to various places from Dehradun to Lucknow and had informed people about Baba. He too needed Hindi and Marathi literature. Baba then asked Dalut Singh about his work in Kashmir and remarked that he was very influential there. He is a doctor and also a municipal commissioner. Daulat Singh's love and devotion are unequaled, and his work is of a high, noble standard. Dr. Singh answered, strange is my master, and stranger are his ways. I have done no service of his in the real sense, and yet out of his infinite mercy, he praises me before the Mandali. I talk informally with and inform my friends and patients about Baba and show his photographs to them. When they again ask me about him, I tell them. There are some, however, who are not impressed by my words. Daulat Singh suggested that the article, the avatar, be printed from the first issue of Meher Baba Journal. Baba asked Ghani about the Muslims' general feeling towards the avatar. Ghani replied, the Mohammedans do not believe in God taking human form. Regarding Ghani's answer, Baba stated, there are 2 points among the Muslims which must be carefully noted. As a rule, before believing in a saintly personality, they insist on proof of his saintliness by way of miracles. For them, Sharia, outward religious ceremonies, is the be-all and end-all of everything, the foundation of their faith. Again, they regard it as impossible for a human being to be God. Now, before I draw my divine sword, if we are to prepare these Muslims to overcome these obstacles, we must do it with great care and tact. But while doing it, you must not confirm Sharia. About man becoming God, you have to explain matters with care, since this prejudice is again due to ignorance. You must explain that truth is beyond Shariat. Shariat is good to begin with, but if you mark it carefully, those who insist on fulfilling the requirements of Shariat usually themselves disregard its principles and take up vices of various sorts. The time has come to break the bindings of Shariat, and when I unsheath my sword, these bindings will break. Before that, you have to work tactfully so that you yourselves do not confirm Shariat. The headquarters of Shariat is Hyderabad, and as you know, I am staying there at present. Continuing his report to Baba, Daulat Singh pointed out, in the beginning I met with serious opposition from my relatives and friends. People took me to be mad for accepting a Parsi as my guru, but patiently and tactfully, I let them know of Baba, and by Baba's grace, I achieved much success among all communities, including the Europeans. Manek Mehta then gave an account of his work, saying, I have spared no pains to inform the Parsi community about Baba and his work. I have been giving, on an average, a lecture a day, and since the last meeting in June, I have delivered 6 lectures of an international character. Of the 2 lakh Parsis in Bombay, I have been able to convince 6,000 of them of the value of Baba's work. I have to work against opposition, as some people create different sorts of obstacles in my work. Baba commented, Manek is fortunate in working against opposition because the work done in the face of opposition is lasting. Certain people are circulating false rumors about me, Manek maintained. Baba asked the Mandali, have you heard anything against Manek? They replied that they had heard nothing of the sort. What is your complaint? Baba asked him. The number of women to men in the Parsi community is approximately 3 to 1. Hence, my work is done mostly among women. Some mischief mongers have spread unfounded stories about me in this regard. Baba spelled out in reply, it is not necessary for a true worker of mine to avoid work among women simply because the worker has at times passionate thoughts, provided that he does not put them into action and continue to deal with them purely. If such thoughts come, the worker gets the opportunity of opposing them, and the result of it is great and lasting. Sexual thoughts help in proving the non-existence of sex. But if these thoughts are put into action, the result is disastrous. So do not avoid seeing women merely because by doing so, you create doubts among the public and give rise to unfounded stories. Continue your work among women, keeping the mind 100% strong and your dealings equally pure. Babadas has told me that on one occasion, it so happened he was actually propositioned. And next reader, please.
Okay. Josh, you want to read?
Sure. Even if such an improper offer is made, if the worker remains firm, he is worthy of being respected even by me. If a worker can resist such a temptation, then his work is of an extremely high order. I will give 3 points which will be of value not only to Manek in his work, but to all of my followers. Without speaking on Shariat, it is next to impossible to improve the Parsis who are, unfortunately, the most backward class spiritually and among whom ignorance and other vices have spread considerably. They have very little knowledge of saints and of things spiritual generally. I have taken this body as a Parsi, and this time, in this very body, the avatar climax will be reached. One of my masters was a Muslim and another a Hindu, and the combination has had a settled result. I have entrusted to Manek my spiritual work among the Parsis. It is not without basis. There is previous connection between him and me. Even while he was working in the Jap Mandal my hand was guiding him. Now he has to work against various opposition. But if he sticks to the 3 points I am about to tell you, the work will be easy. Otherwise, it will be difficult. After talking to people about Shariat, a very direct and definite reference should be made to me and my work. If this is not done and consideration is given to Shariat alone, the Parsis would make Manek a great Malvi priest and would exploit him for Shariat. A reference about me and my work on record in connection with the lectures must be clear and definite. While doing my work, if opposition is created, the worker must not get upset. He must also not submit to the opponents. He should not be caught in their trap. He must not humor them. None of these acts showing weakness must be done. What is required is that the worker must not become angry with the opponents. Concluding, Baba observed, honestly, I love Colonel Arani. I know that he is within me and is doing what I want him to do. Everyone works as he is intended to work, and God is in all. No one is at fault. Work has to be done, and just as the Pandavas and the Kauravas battled and Arjuna did his duty according to Krishna's advice, in the same way my workers should do my work. Don't avoid opposition for fear of opponents or criticism by the public. As I showed you now, opposition is to be faced, and I assure you that if you do so, there is 100% guarantee of success in your endeavors. Baba then asked Ghani to read out the Ghazals. Ghani had composed in Hyderabad based on Baba's writings. After that, the meeting was over, and Baba had individual interviews with all in the afternoon and evening. Resuming the meeting the next morning at 8 o'clock in the mess quarters, Baba spoke about his mandali. What are the members of my mandali doing? They are neither doing japa nor tapa, repeating God's name or performing penances, nor practicing any type of yoga. They have dedicated their lives to me and have been holding firmly to me for a long time. Even yogis cannot do a part of this. The important point in this connection is that they are not only helping me in my cause by obeying my instructions, but they are rendering personal and private help to me. And I am sure before self-realization I would not have been able to serve my master as they are serving me. Buddhi, or the intellect, is the greatest obstacle in knowledge of the self. If there is the slightest criticizing attitude, it is an obstacle. That which is beyond the intellect cannot be grasped intellectually. It would be like trying to trap the wind in an ordinary trap. All in my mandali are not without brains, though there may be one or two who are not intelligent. If they had no spiritual help, it would be difficult to understand how they have been sticking to me for the last 25 years. I tell you, it would not even have been possible for me to do so before realization. In the case of the avatar, before the avataric knowledge dawns, there is infinite restlessness, and on account of this restlessness, he cannot stick to anything. The work and service of my devotees are magnificent. Adi Senior, for instance, has been with me for 25 years. He has dedicated his life to me. His all-round service to me is unique. He lives with me even now and works for me. Sarosh has also been in contact with me for 25 years. He has dedicated everything to me. He gives all his income to me. The personal services rendered by him are beyond description. I myself would not have been able to do all this for my master. Pindu, Padri, and Vishnu are three of the four pillars of Meherabad. They work without any desire. They are service personified. They have rendered great service for the last 25 years. Padre, for instance, has not even the desire to know anything spiritual. All he wants and all he desires is to work for me. Again, the services of Vishnu can hardly be told. Those who were at Lahore saw him working in the most trying physical discomforts, without the least thought for his body. No tapa or japa can be compared to these marvelous selfless services of my disciples. Dr. Nilu is no doubt fond of milk and basundi, a milk sweet, but he is the one disciple who has relieved me of one of my greatest anxieties, the responsibility of looking after the health and well-being of the women on the hill in my absence from Meherbad, as well as when I am here. He has given a very significant help in my universal work. Savak Kotwal has dedicated all his life to me. His service has been unique. What yoga, concentration, or meditation can be compared with this great service? Kalamama is the personification of restless rest. The state of this disciple is well described by Gustaji, who refers to him by making a whirling sign with his hands. For such a restless man to have 100% faith in me and stick to me for years is a yoga which would not have been possible for me. Anna Saheb Kale, his brother, is just the opposite. He is a man with well-balanced mind and a systematic worker. His faith and love for me are exemplary. He does all types of work for me. He even works in the cinema to earn money for expenses connected with my work. After all, the money spent for my work is given to me by my disciples. Sailor has been with me from childhood. He has 1,000 defects, but his love and faith in me have been of such a high order that all his defects are of little consequence. Gustaji is my friend. Even Mahayogi would not have the patience as shown by Gustaji to observe Maun silence, to refrain from reading and writing, and to live without work is a yoga which I could not have done. New reader, please.
Okay, thank you. Rosalie, why don't you pick it up?
Jackie has been with me for 19 years. He is no fool. He is an intelligent lawyer. He has received no temporal benefit from me. His wife has just died, and yet there has not been the least difference in his love and devotion toward me. Yesterday, I called him and told him to give up his legal profession and do my work, and he has agreed to do so. Gadakar is a person who comes to tears by talking of the good qualities of others. I won't talk much about him. He is a smiling Buddha. He was rotund in shape and a bole bhakta, guileless devotee. He has passed through ups and downs, but he has never left me. Although he has all along been serving me, he told me yesterday that it is a great pity that he does not get opportunities to serve me. Pandoba has 9 children to support and has never earned more than 50 rupees per month. He has never asked a penny from me, but has always lent a helping hand in my work. When compared to his services, all japa tapa fade away into insignificance. Hormusji Batena has a naturally criticizing attitude, and yet he is one of those who has never failed me. Although he has bodily defects, his health has been failing him. Yet he has always been of great help to me. He has given large sums of money for my work without anybody's knowledge. Our dear magistrate, Jal Karawala, and Dr. Duncan's deep love for me, unshakable faith in me, and unparalleled service for me are beyond praise. Don comes from a wealthy family. His faith and love for me are unique. He serves in the army for me alone, saves money for me, and always gives me help. Seeing Ramju, I am reminded of my own universal unhappiness. I am infinitely unhappy because I have to bear the universal unhappiness. But I also enjoy infinite bliss, which balances the infinite unhappiness. While in the case of Ramju, he has only unhappiness to face. He has given his whole life to my cause, and the help he has rendered in my work has been considerable. Sadashiv Patil, he is my right hand, a paralyzed hand, although becoming revitalized at times. Baidul is the Sardar, chief of Must. In Must work, he tops the list. The personal services rendered by him to me are unique. Our Kakabaria, nobody can serve me personally in the manner in which Kaka has done. His service in this respect is unparalleled. He visited the West 7 times with me and has suffered the severest types of inconveniences. As an orderly, he tops the list, and in Must work, he is second only to Baidul. Erich is most reliable. If ever I personally liked the company of anyone, it is that of Erich. Chuggan. How can I describe the love of Chuggan? He has been with me from the beginning. Kaikabad is a new disciple, but his love and faith are unique. He repeats my name 100,000 times a day. The service which he is now rendering would not have been rendered even by me. One of my most intimate disciples, who is very dear and near to me, is Faram Roj, working Boxwala. And the same can be said of Datu Mehendarji, both of whom have been rendering great service to me, their master. There are many others like Abdullah, Jafar, Syed Sahib, Ed K, and so forth, who all their lives have been loving me with all their heart. Sidhu has been serving me in various capacities since 1926. His sincerity and simplicity of faith are exemplary. I can rely on him in all private matters. No japa can be compared to his services. Murli Kale, although he has been getting worldly thoughts, he has been staying and doing all work for me. His services are of a high order. The Sata family, all members of this family are unique. Pilu is one in whose mind no doubt about me ever arises. He is that firm believer who always believes that everything happens as I desire. Minu Karas, the love and devotion of this man are exemplary. Minu has burnt both his hands, and yet he believes that but for my Nazar, he might have lost his life. About Papa Jesawala, what is to be said? He is Papa. Jaibal, among my brothers, Jal has been with me through all ups and downs. Adi Jr. and Baram both love me immensely. Baram believes that I am God. Jal has danced in every tune of mine. But Jal has danced to every tune of mine. To remain without doing any work is the most difficult thing. And yet Jal has been compelled to do this. A live charcoal was once placed on the palm of his hand to test his faith in me. And although his flesh burnt, he never flinched an inch. Wow. Nariman's faith and love for me are such that I can depend on him to do anything in the world for me. About Kupu Swami, I would say in the meeting next December. I will say in the meeting next December. Those who are laboring for me and impressing people about my work are like my tongue. They are, in fact, my mouthpiece. Others who work for me are like my other limbs. Ghani and Deshmukh praised Baba for his extraordinary love for his disciples, and pointed out how the disciples were really unworthy of all the praise bestowed on them by the Master. Baba then gave a brief picture of world affairs. Quote, the politicians of the East and West are not aware of the existing complexities. I said before that there would be no victor and no vanquished, end quote. An article from the Times of India was read out describing the world situation and the complicated problems arising in various countries. Baba commented, the world situation has become extremely complicated. After the defeat of Germany, the Russian problem has become very significant. The question of Japan's defeat remains to be tackled. The climax of the war will come in December, and then the real game will start. All nations will feel helpless, and either a third world war will be the result, or someone like one of us, masters, will come forward to help them. At that time, I will say my namaz prayer. That namaz will be the drawing out of the divine sword. Taking everything into consideration, I have decided upon 3 points. First, next December, all the signatories of mine, about 400 to 500 in number, will stay with me for 1 whole month. Second, until December, I want to be free from all correspondence and contacts to enable me to work in full swing. Third, from January, those of the signatories who will be given specific work in India or abroad, either in my company or alone, will have to do it. They should be ready for it. The one month proposed meeting during December 1945 was discussed, and it was decided that the gathering be held in Raipur. Particulars of the Raipur congregation were outlined, and the meeting terminated. It was decided to issue a circular informing the signatories of the decisions taken and of the details settled. Baba again granted separate interviews to all in the evening and gave individual instructions. The out-of-town lovers left for their respective homes the following day, Saturday, 26 May 1945. As mentioned, Dake's wife, Kashibai, had recently died. Dake had much love for Baba, and once in Rahuri years before, Baba had visited his home. Finding Kashibai weak and run down, Baba had advised him to give her complete rest. With her health in mind, Baba had made arrangements for her during his stay in Toka during 1928, so that she and Dake could live there in the family quarters. After her demise, Baba had a private talk with Dake. During the meeting, he explained, "You are now free and I will look after your children. Now, don't fall into that trap," meaning marriage. Again, don't fall into that trap again. "And stay with me permanently." On Dake's agreement, Baba welcomed him to join the Mandali. "From tomorrow, come to stay with me," said Baba. To this also Dake consented. Baba then clarified, quote, "Come to stay with me permanently after 6 months," end quote. In this manner, everything was settled. But in the meantime, Dake got engaged for a second time. When his wedding invitation was received, Baba immediately sent Kali Mama to him with orders that he should not marry. Kali Mama was unable to contact Dake in time, and the marriage was performed. Baba was furious over the affair and temporarily forbade Dake from coming to him. Pendu was the manager at Meherabad and handled all the money and kept accounts. On one occasion, Datu showed Pendu's account book to Adi Sr., who complained to Baba about the accounts not being regular. So Baba sent for Pendu and criticized, quote, "Your accounts are not correct," end quote. Pendu protested, "They're perfect." I need more words here. Adi pointed out, every item in the account should be listed separately. Pendu asked, "Do banks have different coffers for their money?" "The money is kept together and accounts are written separately. Similarly, I too have kept accounts separately." His reasoning upset Baba, who said, quote, "You are quite loyal and none can ever doubt your faith, but you don't know the first thing about accounting. What Adi said is true," end quote. Baba went on lambasting Pendu in front of everyone, and Pendu grew very angry. But he stood still listening to what Baba was dictating. Afterwards, Datu came out of his room and Pendu followed him. Catching hold of him, he said, "You're the cause of all this trouble," and he gave him a hard slap. Baba overheard him and called them back. He severely scolded Pendu and ordered him to touch Datu's feet.
All right, thanks, Rosalie. I'll pick it up here. Pendu did it, and forgiving him, Baba explained, Datu is not the root of the quarrel. It is the wrath of everyone. If there is no anger, there is no quarrel. You have dedicated your whole life to me and have been servicing me for years with all your heart. But up to now, you have failed to dedicate your anger to me. If you do it, you will be unequal. Nanak Kerr, 28, of Nagpur, had been interested in spirituality from childhood, particularly the stories of Ram and Krishna. He heard of Baba in 1941 from Deshmukh, then his professor of philosophy, and from that time on had been yearning for darshan. But when Baba's darshan program was held in Nagpur in 1944, Nana was working in Pune and had no knowledge of it. In Pune, he met Erich, who told him of Erich's forthcoming marriage and added, "If you attend it, you will have Meher Baba's darshan." So Nana came to Ahmednagar to attend the function. The first time he met Baba was on May 27th, the evening before the wedding, when Baba paid a visit to Akbar Press. Baba called Nana into his room. Erich, Jal Karawala, and Jalbai were present. Baba asked him, "What do you want?" "Spiritual freedom," Nana replied. Baba looked highly pleased and asked, "Would you follow my orders?" "I am fully prepared to do as you say." Baba instructed, "Fast every Sunday during the day, and at 7 p.m. have a full meal after feeding a beggar with your own hands. Repeat my name for 15 minutes daily in a closed room and lead a simple, pure life." Nana was grateful for Baba's orders, and Baba asked him, "Is there anything else you want to ask?" Nana reluctantly said, "My parents want me to marry. Should I?" "What is the hurry?" Baba asked. "Wait for 2 years, and then I will tell you what to do." Nana was permitted to accompany Baba in his car back to Meherabad. As soon as Muhammad Must saw Baba, he embraced him heartily and would not let him go. Baba made some excuse to extricate himself and gathered the mandali in the old mess quarters building, where Adi Sr. played the harmonium and sang a few ghazals. On Monday, 28th May 1945, the weddings of Erich, 29, to his cousin Khorshid Damania, 29, and of Erich's sister Meru, 24, to Khorshid's brother Sabak Damania, 33, took place at Akbar Press. It was not so much a marriage as a gathering of celebration for Baba's lovers from Bombay, Pune, and Ahmednagar. Baba and the Meherabad Mandali went to Akbar Press to attend the weddings, and the ceremony turned into a darshan. Both marriages were done according to Baba's wish, but Erich's was really extraordinary. To obey Baba and at the same time to please his father, Erich had married, but as events unfolded, it became clear that he was not to lead a married life. After the wedding, Manek Mehta introduced Baba to the gathering, proclaiming him as the avatar of the age. Babu Gavai, the singer from Pune, performed, and Baba allowed darshan to all. And in a separate room, he gave private interviews to a few persons, including the 2 newly married couples. A Sikh from Karachi named Minoshar K. Spencer met Baba at this time. Spencer had brought a message from Swami Ramdas of Kerala, but before he could deliver it, Baba revealed his omniscience by stating why the man had come and what was in the message. Footnote. M.K. Spencer wrote extensively on mysticism and spirituality, and later formed a group of spiritualists in Kerala. Swami Papa Ramdas was one of 7 advanced souls who Baba referred to as his beloved children. Sarabji Singhapuria from Bombay had come to the wedding with his family. He had met Baba before, but when Baba asked for his son Noshir, who was mentally troubled, to be kept with him, Sarabji had become disconsolate and had left without having any faith in Baba. Sarabji was sitting in Akbar Press when Baba called him and offered him pan, telling him to eat it. Although even this time the light of faith had not yet dawned in him fully, Sarabji did as he was told and ate the leaf. While chewing it, he suddenly was overcome by some inner realization and exclaimed, "I accept you. I accept you." Heads turned, and all eyes stared at him in surprise. From then on, Sarabji had full faith in Meher Baba. Gradually, Noshir's condition also became somewhat more normal. Sarabji now repented for not leaving his son with Baba when the time was most opportune. And we have a photo of the engagement of Erich and his cousins. Baba left Meherabad for Hyderabad with Ari Sr. on Tuesday, 29 May 1945. They drove and reached Hyderabad the following day. On June 4th, accompanied by Kaka, Baidul, and Gustaji, Baba again went out for must work, visiting Vijayawada and other places. In Kazipet, Baba contacted 2 musts, Hyder Wali, who was hidden away in a Muslim shrine, and Wali Hyder, a very good must who was difficult to find because he was usually wandering in the wilds. In Warangal, on the 5th, Baba sent Baidul to a good must named Ramachari. Although he was a tiny man, he was a fearsome Jalali type. When the must saw Baidul, he warned him sharply in no uncertain terms, "Do not step foot in my boundary." Considering the must's mood, Baidul dared not go nearer and returned to Baba. Baba then sent Kaka to Brahmachari with this message: "We have come here only to meet you." Mona, would you like to take over reading?
Yeah. The must angrily rebuked him. So you did not find any other man on whom you could throw the burden? I don't accept anything from anyone, and I don't give anything to anyone. Kaka returned, and Baba sent him back to lecture the must on his uncooperative attitude. Kaka went and criticized the mast for being lazy and irresponsible, and then asked why he just sat there all day and did not take up his responsibility. The mouse quietly heard him for a while and then flew into a rage, warning Kaka, "Leave here immediately." Could you? Yeah, okay. Kaka came. mm, Kaka came back and told Baba everything. Baba had a good laugh. Although he did not contact the mutt physically, it seems it was not necessary, as he had done his inner work through Baidul and Kaka. The Mas are so intoxicated that there are times when the wine is offered and flung away. The intoxicated have no consciousness of the tavern keeper, and when he comes to offer more wine to those mad in his love, some are willing and some are not. They had become like children, and Baba would do anything to keep them happy. Baba, Kaka, and Baidul returned to Hyderabad on 7 June. It had been terrifically hot during the journey, and the intense heat affected Baba's health. While in Hyderabad, Kaikobad, Narayan Nai, Krishna's brother, and C.S. Kavde were the day watchmen at the mandalis and Baba's bungalows, as no one was allowed to go inside. Kavde had come for Baba's darshan in Mehrabad in 1942 and had wished to stay with him. Baba had assured him he would be called sometime later, and he was now staying with Baba in Hyderabad. One day, Baba suddenly sent Baidul to bring Kavde from the Mandali's residence, but he was not on duty. He had gone out. Baidul came back and informing Baba about it, added, "If there's a message for him, I'll convey it when he returns." Baba scolded, "There's no message. I want to castrate him. Bring a sharp knife." All burst out laughing, and when Kaude appeared and was told about it, he alone understood the deeper meaning behind Baba's words. The fact was that he was in love with a girl in Akalkot and was constantly thinking about her. Thou staying with Baba day and night in Hyderabad, Kaude was thinking only of this girl. But Baba's nazar saved him from becoming deeply entangled, and his thoughts of marriage gradually dissipated. Through Baba's intervention, he remained a bachelor. Once, when the Mandali were sitting with Baba in Hyderabad, Ghani said something which infuriated Baba. Baba asked Kaikobad, "Would you do as I tell you?" "It is the sole reason I've joined you," Kaikobad replied earnestly. "Then give Ghani a good hard slap." Kaikobad looked momentarily puzzled and said, "But Ghani is one of your oldest Mandali. How can I slap him?" Baba's anger turned on him. "Do you know who I am? By saying this, you have not slapped Ghani, you have slapped me." "When did I slap you, Baba?" "By failing to carry out my order, you have given me a sharp slap. Had you really slapped me, though, it would not have pained me as much as your disobedience. By disobeying me, you have wounded my heart so deeply. The pain will always be there and will never go away. You repeat my name 10,000 times a day. But
100,000.
what value does your penance and prayers have when you don't value my words? Before my order, nothing is superior. And if you don't realize that, thousands of years of repetition of my name will not help you. What is the use of staying with me? Baba then walked away, leaving Kaikobad red in face and restless inside. Baba soon returned, and Kaikobad inquired, "If I had slapped Ghani, how much it would have pained him? Are we not to consider the feelings of others?" Baba snapped. "That means you consider his feelings and your own superior to my order." Turning to Ghani, Baba asked, "Would you have felt bad about it?" Catching Baba's drift, Ghani replied, "No, I would not have felt bad in the least, but I feel very bad about Kaikobad's disobedience to you." Kaikobad said, "I will slap him now." But Baba gestured. "What's the use? The time is gone. You thought of Ghani's pain, but not of mine. You wanted to be in his good graces, but he himself has disapproved of your attitude." Addressing the men, Baba made these remarks: "If you want to be in good graces of the world, you cannot live for me. But if you try to stay in my good books, the world will fall at your feet." Turning to Adi Senior, Baba asked, "Would you give Ghani a slap with your sandal?" Adi replied, "Baba, if you were to ask me to give him 10 slaps, I may give him 12. That's the spirit, Baba." motioned. Did you hear what he said, Kaikobad? And Kaikobad nodded gloomily. Later, Baba took him aside and discussed the matter with him sweetly and caressed him, and Kaikobad wept. Ali Shah was again brought to Hyderabad on 16th June. Baba kept the mask near him for 9 days and sent him back on 25th. This work seemed to coincide with the Allied victory at Okinawa. Baba indicated that his intensive work with the mosque during these years was connected with overseeing the war. But it would be foolish to presuppose that this was all that Baba was doing. The Avatar's work is universal by nature and unimaginable in scope. The axiom of killing two birds with one stone is applicable to the Avatar when multiplied ad infinitum, as one action done by him affects millions of others in creation. No doubt Baba's movements coincided with developments in the war, but moreover, his fast journeys coincided with the developments in the war. Sorry, but moreover, his fast journeys and working with the mass all had unseen and unknown consequences, primarily dealing with raising the consciousness of humanity and turning the world toward God. A few years before, Meherji Karkarai had been instructed by Baba not to sell his business in Iran, but to continue as he had been doing. Meherji returned to Iran according to Baba's advice, and his business was quite prosperous. In 1945, he again visited India and Baba called him to Hyderabad on 23rd June. Baba discussed matters with him and stated, "Now go back to Iran, close your business down, and move to Bombay. If you don't, Homai, his wife, will die." This was a sufficient incentive, and Meherji returned to Persia, sold his business as Baba instructed, and landed in Bombay on 2nd November. However, it took a long time for Meherji to finally wind up all his affairs in Iran, and even after he had settled in India, he still had to go back to Iran on business. Each time he would inform Baba by cable that he was leaving, and each time Baba would give him a fixed date for his return. Once Meherji could not find a boat for Vandere Abbas to Bombay and to reach India. On the appointed date, he sailed by a small fishing vessel. A storm arose during the voyage, and the boat began pitching and rolling from side to side. The captain said it was too dangerous to go further and decided they should stop where they were. But Meherji insisted, "Don't stop. I have to reach Bombay as soon as possible." The captain pleaded, "Dead or alive, if we proceed, we will sink." The storm continued, gathering force, and the sea was turbulent, but Meherji persisted in his demand. Once he was so forcefully thrown to one side, the platinum ring on his finger broke into pieces. Remembering Baba, he did not lose courage. When the boat docked at the closest port, Meherji caught another boat bound for Bombay and arrived in time. He experienced Baba's inner help because of his firm determination to obey him. On
Okay, I say we stop the reading right here in the midst of page 2489.
Thank you. Oh, Shailu was there with us. Um, Eva, you made a note of the page number?
I made one, but somebody else could also. Oh, okay, I'm just stop the recording.
What is the page number, please?
Wait.